I think it was last week I highlighted the referee that was going to be in charge of the Ireland France game, and that was Wayne Barnes. And I said that there was going to be controversial moments. There was going to be times where you'd feel teams would feel hard done by, the home fans would feel hard done by, and that Barnesy always seems to have his name in lights, and a lot of the time it's for the right reasons, but the odd time it's for the wrong reasons. And I think he got this one wrong, and I think the suspension to Atonio, clarifies that for us that should have been a red card. However, I can get why he gave a yellow card. It's the biggest match of the year. It's the last thing he wants to do is send off arguably one of their best forwards and ruin the game as a contest. And I think all Ireland, all the Irish fans were like, at the time, we're like, oh, it's a joke of a decision. But at the end of the game, we're like, do you know what? We beat France team with 15 men on the pitch for 70 minutes. And not to give them an excuse, if that makes sense. So, yes, it was the wrong decision. Antonio, if that's a World Cup final, that has to be a red card. It has to be a red card every game. But I can sort of see where Wayne Barnes, I can sort of understand why he was looking for an out, why he was looking for just something to give him a yellow card, because he didn't want to spoil the biggest game where millions, the RTE's numbers were off the charts, a million people watching it, BBC, goodness knows how many, and a red card for me, excuse me, as we've seen over the last couple of seasons, it ruins games. It dead and buries games. So I can sort of see his angle on it. But it's just great being an Irish fan, being able to talk about it now when it didn't really have an impact on the game. I think Ireland are repeatedly playing at that intensity, consistently against the big teams on the big occasion. And that was something that I was slightly concerned about. You watch Johnny Sexton standing with tears in his eyes before kickoff. You go, oh, flip, hold on a second here. Let's not let the occasion get the better of us. But that didn't happen. It was almost the reversal of that. And you talk about fitness, and this is something that hasn't really been aired over the last couple of weeks, is that the French teams in the top 14 play week in, week out, no rest. Like their big marquee, signings, the likes of Dupont is playing nearly every single game for Toulouse. When they're all fit, they're playing for their clubs. Where you look at the way the Irish boys are managed, like somebody like Ian Henderson coming off the bench, he's hardly played any rugby this season. He is fresh, ready to go, albeit a number of those games were through injury. But the likes of Johnny Sexton as well, I know he picked up a bit of a knock, but all the Irish guys are managed. The Irish player management, they have control over how many games they play for their provinces. You even seen some of the guys getting a rest during the European Cup. Like, when do you ever see that? You never see that. Why? It's for the benefit of the national team. And this is where the other teams will start to play catch up when it comes to around the Rugby World Cup, because they're going to have control. They're going to have a 4 or 5 week pre-season before leading into the first game of the Rugby World Cup, as will Ireland. There'll be a couple of warm-up games in there as well. But I think, the way that the Irish players, and this isn't just 15 or 23 players we're talking about here. This is 40, 35 to 40 players. The likes of Tom O'Toole, who's, again, hardly played any rugby, he has to be given time off at certain periods. And Stuart McCluskey, again, he didn't play in one of the European games because he'd played in a block of games. You all remember that, Munster were in a bit of a rut in the league, and a lot of their players, Tadhg Beirne, Peter O'Mahony, Craig Casey, they put their arm to the wheel and churned out week after week just to try and get them up the URC table. And then when it actually came closer to Europe, they took a couple of weeks off. So it's very smart. I know David Nucifora gets a lot of stick, but I think when you look at how the national team's minutes per player is managed, that's only a positive thing for Irish rugby going forward into this World Cup cycle. Leinster's second 15 is also very dangerous, and I'm sure it could compete with many international sides. And that's what you can have to continue to do, is make sure that you have that squad depth in every position. We still maybe don't have it at out half, although Ross Byrne, I think, has been outstanding anytime he's been given the opportunity. And that all stemmed from, that last 5 minutes against Australia where he kicked the winning penalty. And that's just given him huge confidence. He's been playing brilliant for Leinster since Johnny Sexton, injured his cheekbone or eye socket, whichever it was. And you need that squad strength and depth, and Ireland seem to have it. But you talk about individuals like Gavin Coons, like Stuart, or Jacob Stockdale, Tom Stewart. Now going back to Ulster, like it's just around the corner where these guys might get a chance. Like there's Tadhg Beirne is out injured. We're not sure the extent of the injury. Looks like his championship is maybe over. Well, hold on a second. That's leaving the door wide open for somebody. Is that Jack Conan's going to come in there and move somebody up, or is Ian Henderson going to take on that mantle of being in the second row? Could we see Ryan Baird, a very similar athlete size to Tadhg Beirne, stepping back into that second row position? You're only one injury away. So, this is a huge opportunity this weekend. Ulster traveling to Glasgow. It's third versus fifth. A big win for Glasgow. They leapfrog Ulster. They're in a bit of a roll at the minute under their new coaching regime there. So it's a big one. You would expect Leinster and Munster both at home against lesser opposition to get the job done, even with a number of changes. And obviously Connacht are away to Zebra, but you would still expect them, with not too many missing, to get a win. So the momentum is with Irish rugby, but it all stems from the success of the provinces as well. And if they can get 4 wins this weekend, then all of a sudden they're going to Rome with the momentum of every fan, man, woman, and child across the island getting behind them and going for a Grand Slam. So let's see how the teams get on this weekend. But yet again, it's another very exciting weekend of rugby.